jogo acontecendo que é altcoin season e precisamos que a narrativa de inteligência artificial continue forte. Ponto. Isso acontecendo, a gente consegue performar, tá bom? Jeremy Powell, Pix feito. Obrigado pelo superchat. Seu superchat eu vou doar também pra rapaziada lá, tá bom? Pix feito. Amanhã eu e minha esposa vamos despachar roupas no correio e comida. Deus ajude essas pessoas do Rio Grande. Obrigado. Obrigado a todo mundo que tá apoiando aí, tá? Relaxa, Luiz. Já mandei. O Xandão tá na live? Não, isso é fake, né? Relaxa, Luiz. Já mandei um direct pra Madonna. Tudo vai se resolver em breve. Mas falando de cripto, Polkadot ainda pode surpreender. Esse supply infinito de DOT. Pessoal, não biquem com isso, tá? Não usem fake de pessoas do governo, tá bom? Não é uma coisa legal, tá? Senão você pode acabar se prejudicando. Elisem, me explica uma coisa. Falaste que a Avalanche em 10 anos não se tem ideia de quando estaria... Elisem, me explica uma coisa. Falaste que a Avalanche em 10 anos não se tem ideia de quando estaria. Mas eu te pergunto, altcoin não é pra especular a curto prazo? Para daqui 10 anos eu sou Bitcoin. Cara, altcoin é pra especular a curto prazo sim. Fiquei refletindo na tua pergunta aqui. Mas o negócio é que existe projetos no mercado que a gente consegue entender que aquilo tem uma grande probabilidade de durar por mais tempo. Vou te dar um exemplo. Mercado DeFi, cara.
You were to sell at the bottom now and then watch all the market just recover while you now have zero exposure. Now, if you are more of a seasoned investor, you've been around for a few cycles, that's probably not what I wouldn't do. I would just continue to learn. I would continue to educate yourself and build upon the narratives that we've seen have success. If you're a complete new investor, you're not able to sleep, you have constant anxiety just because of how volatile the markets are, then I would recommend the latter strategy of just tuning everything out. I've known a lot of people who are beginners in the market, and the ones that ended up losing the most amount of money are the ones that got shaken out and they ended up selling literally during times like this. Funny enough, I even have a friend who doesn't know much about crypto. He ended up buying a few random projects here and there. He lost the password to his Coinbase account, and it turns out it ended up being 5x of what he had put in from the previous cycle. Now look, by the time this video goes up, the market could have already recovered or Bitcoin could have slid down to $50,000. Regardless, if you still understand the grand scale of where crypto is headed in terms of mass future adoption, you would understand this short-term volatility still means nothing. Now look, if we even get to the core root of the problem where you're looking at your portfolio, you're feeling the fear, you're feeling the red, you get so much regret knowing that you were planning to sell just a few weeks ago and you could have locked in an extra $10,000 or $100,000 or more, but you didn't. Here's what I'll say. In the last few months, I saw a $100,000 portfolio go as high as close to $3 million at the peak. Since then, I've seen it draw down over $1 million. So in the last week, I've literally lost over 7 figures. But if I even take a moment to zoom out, I never would have expected myself to even see amounts like that early on in the cycle. This year was also a huge learning lesson for me too. I was able to hit my profit goals really fast, but I ended up changing it even quicker. I told myself, well, if I was able to make a couple mil, why not make 10 mil, 20 mil, 50 mil? And even with the brutal lessons that I learned from the previous bull run, I found myself getting caught up in even more feelings of greed. So in this slower season, just take caution and use it as a learning lesson on what you can do for this next leg up. During this drawdown period, if you're able to use it to your advantage, where you're able to reflect or really recognize what financial goals are good enough for you to hit this cycle, you can use the second half of this football match to make the winning play. Think of the first half of this game as if you're getting your warm up in, getting those reps, you scored a few goals, we're now at the halftime, and within halftime, you're now able to reflect on all the mistakes that you made and the things that you can do better for this next leg up. So first of all, if you feel any emotions, it's because you were overexposed. It means you put more money into the market or your portfolio grew even higher and you got to a point where you knew you should have sold, but you didn't. If that's the case, I would still personally wait it out. I do expect for us to see even more green days, but if you had made multiple 20x plays and you only went down like 40, 50% on some of them, if you can cash out today and still lock in 1,000% or even 500% returns, I'd say that is a considerable win. Everyone is in different situations. Everyone has different price targets and different risk tolerances too. The most important thing is if you're new to this market and you're about to FOMO in, don't go all in at once. You can average into the market. And most importantly, I've seen some stories of this. Please do not take loans out from family members or friends to buy it into crypto that you still don't have a full understanding of. For anyone who's been sidelined, I believe this here is a great opportunity to now buy in at a discounted price. And for my other group, which is along the lines of what I am in, if you're still up long term, regardless of if the bull run is finally over or not, if you're still invested into crypto, knowing the long-term implication, I believe, unless you truly think that this is now the bear market, the market really has crashed, that was the absolute top, that was all the money that could have gone in, then it would make sense to sell. I personally have a stronger conviction that the bull run is still here, but right now we are drawing down in a strong consolidation and correction. So my prediction is this: I bet we'll see some short-term recovery, but I still think the next few weeks or even months could still be rather sideways. If we get any more bad news, we could definitely see Bitcoin dropping down to $50,000, and I believe this here is where we could see strong support. Now keep in mind, if you go on Twitter or somewhere else on the internet and you see people saying, oh, Bitcoin is going to crash to $16,000 or $20,000, just know that whenever these accounts put out a lot of this fear-mongering content, they get even more engagement because it's what people tend to click the most. It's the same exact tactic and strategy that mainstream media does, where they highlight all the bad and they make things look even worse than it really is. It's because they're going to be able to get more eyeballs, more clicks, and more money at the end of the day in their pocket. So when you see people claiming that the market is going to crash, we're going to see Bitcoin go down to $5,000, there's a lot of this type of external fear that's going to come in that you're going to have to learn to push out and ignore. Now, I believe there is more than enough sideline money for us to see crypto hit new all-time highs with the market cap and for us to go even higher than we ever have before. Let's still not forget the Bitcoin halving. That is an actual event where we have seen an adjustment in the supply of crypto now that we have even more access, and different countries like China and the US with ETFs having that rampway for even more money and liquidity to come into the market. So here's how I'm gonna prepare for the next leg up. I don't know if it's gonna happen tomorrow, after I post this video, a week from now, a month from now, but I'm even more excited that if we see the markets coming down, we're gonna get an even better discounted price. We're going to have new money coming in, which is going to be able to hold these assets for a longer time. Once Bitcoin is able to stabilize, and I'm not even saying we need Bitcoin to rally and break new all-time highs again. I'm just saying if it stabilizes, these narratives that I'm going to talk about, I believe are just going to resume as if it was on a commercial break, and we just continue to see things rip once more. Now, I'm so confident in these narratives and in these plays that regardless of what Bitcoin is doing, when you see good short-term price action on some of these projects, you can get in knowing that there is utility that will allow the projects to survive more long-term throughout the full duration of what we have in store for this bull run. So the first narrative that we've been talking about, which we've been hitting, which I still believe has enough catalyst events to continue propping up the market, is base. If you don't know a single thing about base and you haven't watched any of my previous videos, make sure you watch it there. So number one, even during this cycle, I don't think Solana, I don't think Avalanche or Cardano, frankly, I don't think any of these Ethereum killers are going to be able to replace Ethereum in any sort of way. I believe that Ethereum is going to continue to get used, especially with the talks of the SEC investigating it, trying to legitimize the asset, and seeing the potentials of the Ethereum ETF still possibly getting rolled out this year. So Ethereum is what we call in crypto a layer 1, and a layer 2 pretty much is like the upgraded version of Ethereum. It uses Ethereum, but it improves upon all the shortcomings that it has. Now, Base is empowered and funded by Coinbase. It's what I'd consider to be the Apple of crypto. It's where you can continue to on-ramp your money, you can off-ramp it, and it's going to make it so much easier for retail to continue entering this market. Coinbase has over 80 million users that are ready to get onboarded, and right now Base is developing something called the Coinbase Smart Wallet. This Coinbase Smart Wallet is not just a catalyst event, but I believe this is truly going to be the update that's going to allow for more retail to come in. If we understand that Coinbase is truly dominating these markets right now, and it's how most new retail is going to enter the scene, one of the first things that they'll probably get exposure to is the entire Base ecosystem. Don't forget, Coinbase posted a blog many years ago about the Coinbase Secret Master Plan. This expands outside of crypto and even goes into real world assets. It goes into really unifying the traditional finance sector with what we've seen happen within the crypto space. Now, here's what's been awesome about Base. Up until the recent market pullback, Base has had some of the most record-breaking amount of funds getting locked into this chain. Base currently has $1.39 billion locked in, where there are still plenty of other chains out here that have nearly double or triple the amount that Base has locked up. Now, here's where I'm extra bullish on Base. Notice that their TVL, their total value locked, is at $1.39 billion. I truly believe that Base is going to be the biggest chain. And if we compare them to the likes of Blast, which was known for having a ton of different difficulties, people getting hacked, a lot of scam projects, Arbitrum, which has been around for a while, Solana, which actually has some of the most common and frequent transaction failures happen within a network, Binance Smart Chain, which still has over $5 billion locked, Tron has nearly $8 billion locked. There's still clearly opportunity for Base to continue expanding. Now, in order to get exposure to Base, because Base does not have a token, they would if the SEC was not down the throats of Coinbase. This here would be Aerodrome. It's why we've mentioned Aerodrome so frequently on this channel, and if you are interested in buying Aerodrome anywhere at over $2 or $1.50, this drawdown right now is one of the best sales that I've seen in a very long time. Anytime Aerodrome goes down under $1, it could be the last and final time we ever see anyone being able to buy it at this rate. Now, if we compare Aerodrome to another DEX like Uniswap, you can really see just how crazy the potential on that run up could be. Even PancakeSwap had a massive leg up, had the drawdown, and even still during the second leg up, it was able to hit over $24. I'm still bullish on the fact that if the cycle plays out the way that I expect it to, there's no reason we shouldn't see a $5 to $10 Aerodrome. Aerodrome is one of the few tokens that are fair launch. There was no VC investors. It's available on Coinbase to buy, and it's still one of the largest plays where if you are bullish on Coinbase in any way, this is how you would get exposure. Now, what's interesting is Aerodrome made an update. It was called Slipstream, and since then they had new all-time highs in volumes and fees. They're very comparable to the growth that we've seen Uniswap experience, especially in the early days. And since then, Aerodrome has only been going down. Now, I know better days are coming. I do think this is going to be one of the last few times that we can see Aerodrome at these prices. And I do believe that the next leg up could be truly violent. Now, the one downside of Aerodrome is the fact that the market cap has grown pretty substantially since we first mentioned it. It's already at over $450 million, and the fully diluted market cap is at $1 billion. This means we are going to need to see more volume coming in, but with the success of Coinbase and seeing how much Base has expanded, I'm still certain that a near short-term $2 to $3 test is very possible. Now, keep in mind, we got into Base at around the 10 to 20 cent level. Even now, I'm still holding majority of my bag, but we actually found another Base exposure play that went completely under the radar. Now, this here is Seam. Seam has a fraction of the market cap. It's currently at $70 million. It's available for you to buy on Coinbase. And the importance of that is the fact that a lot of new retail get into crypto, they don't know how to operate Uniswap or the Coinbase wallet or even know what a MetaMask is. So if it's available on Coinbase, this is where those new retail investors are able to access these picks even more. All right, so Seamless is actually the first Base native token ever listed on Coinbase. This year is also fair launch, no private investors, and it started out as a lending and borrowing platform, and they saw an opportunity on Base to be the first native and just went for it. The contributors on Seamless are ex-Coinbase, ex-Uniswap, ex-MakerDAO, 1inch and more. They have an A+ team. There's no worry about VC dumps on this. And most importantly, there hasn't been a full Base pump on it either. So I believe Seamless is going to be a solid play. It's been flying underneath the radar. Its market cap is still at a fraction of a lot of these other Base plays that have pumped. And there were other plays, as an example, Moonwell, where it was already pumping up way too much. I didn't feel good about buying at the top, but you can just tell from the charts here on when Bitcoin stabilizes how violent some of these Base plays can pump. Keep in mind too, Moonwell right now, it's about the same market cap. It already had its pump, and it's not even available for you to buy on Coinbase. You have to use a decentralized exchange or any one of these third-party exchanges. Now, look, if you get into Seam at this point, you're actually getting a better buy entry than I did because I bought in at around $5. I'm down just a little bit on my investment, but even when they had launched, they had come out at over $10, hitting even $14 at one point, and I believe $15 to $20 target for Seamless is still very viable. I talked earlier about the Coinbase wallet. This here is going to be revolutionary. And when they do release and there is a DEX of choice that they decide to go with. Now, when the Coinbase Smart Wallet rolls out, I believe these Base plays that we're talking about are going to be exposed even more to your native crypto user. This means even plays like Seamless, a DeFi protocol that has not yet really established true ground within the entire Base ecosystem. This here could easily be a play once Bitcoin starts pumping for this to hit at least a 5x. Now, remember, we need crypto to stabilize before we see anything take off. But I would definitely add this to your watch list and keep an eye out on it. Charts look prime in my opinion. I do think a $6 to $8 seam is gonna happen at some point, and we should have definitely seen a $10 seam if the market conditions were ripe enough. Now, the second narrative, which I believe right now is still very early on, and it has a huge potential of blowing up even past Base, is gonna be RWAs, also known as real world assets. In my last video from several weeks ago, we talked about the potential of real world assets, and this all started up from BlackRock, more specifically the CEO of BlackRock, Larry Fink, making one of the boldest statements ever, and that is that ETFs are just a stepping stone towards tokenizing the world. Now, for anyone who doesn't understand tokenization, this here is in the context of just crypto and how blockchain technology works, where everything goes on a public ledger. You can see all the transactions, the world sees it, and this here is powerful because right now in traditional finance, everything is protected with walls. You don't want to see the transactions. The banks don't want to tell you the info. They have their own underwriters that are going to judge you based on your credit score or the tax returns that you submit. And as someone who's right now going through that process, let me tell you, it is so limiting. There are so many unnecessary steps. And this is where cryptocurrency and blockchain technology can truly shine. I believe what Larry Fink envisions in terms of tokenization for the world spans outside of just general finance. This includes things like real estate, where you have a piece piece of paper to prove that you own something? What about if you have it uploaded into the blockchain where everyone can see that you can verify? And this is where we had mentioned plays like in the last video, such as Proppy and more. Now, here's the thing about the RWA narrative. It's going to take a little bit more time for this to develop. This is mainly because it's going to take so much work for us to actually see the entire movement of tokenizing the world. With that said, the process of this has started. They are in the works. It's just a matter of time to